Hey everyone, we have a lot of cards to get to, so I'm going to try to go through these as quickly but as efficiently as possible. First up, we got the Crystalline Statue. I would say it's not as good as the Dozing Kelp Keeper or whatever it's called from Druid. 2 mana, typically Demon Hunter likes to draw a lot of cards, but I don't think it's quite as good because you have to play it, then draw a ton of cards, which is a little bit harder than just playing mana like for the Druid cards, so not quite as good. Probably should have started with this card, Jotun the Eternal, 5 mana 4/5 Battle Cry. For the rest of the game, cast a copy of the first spell you draw each turn of enemies. Now, right off the bat, this card's bonkers. It's very good, especially if you hit relics or anything else. It's just good. The issue is you have to play it. Granted, it's in a deck where you do draw quite a lot, but can't tell you how many times I've, the card I need for my deck, it's at the bottom of my deck, and then cool, I don't get it. It's kind of the same with other cards like this, like that priest card that was it Lady in White, where, you double the health of all your cards in your deck. Doesn't help you if it's at the bottom, and other, really good bonkers broken effects like that. Absolutely a fantastic card. Problem is you do have to draw it. You do have to find it. But again, it's in the right deck because it's in a draw deck. But man, again, if it's you could dredge, but let's say it's not the bottom 3, it's the bottom 4. You know what I mean? It's just you got to get the card to draw it. So I still think it's nuts. I think obviously it has its challenges that it has to face. We have another card that supports this draw Demon Hunter, Runic Adornment, 2 mana. Discover a spell that costs 3 or less. Shuffle 2 copies into your deck that cast when drawn. Now combine this with Jotun. It's awesome. And if you get a good 3 mana card, that you would like, that great. If you get a Runic, that's fantastic. But what if you get a card that you don't necessarily want? You do get to Discover, and I do like that it gives you 2 copies instead of just 1. So you get a little bit more threats in your deck, especially when you're drawing. So this definitely would help the draw Demon Hunter. And another card, obviously there's a bunch of cards. The Arguknight Golem, 3 mana, has 1 attack for each card you've drawn this turn. It's a 1/5. I think I'd like it more if it was a 1 mana, kind of like the Naga card. But 3 mana, and then it's not a threat when you immediately play it, but obviously next turn it can become a threat. But then what if you don't also draw? I mean, it'll be at least a 2/5. I think it's a little bit slow. I don't think you would play this. I think you would maybe play other things, more draw cards. But if it's 3 mana, I think that's my issue with it, because you have to draw. Drawing's not super cheap. Granted, Demon Hunter has a lot of ways to do that, but I don't know. I don't think this quite makes the cut for that deck. This card, Disciple of Argus, 3 mana 2/2, Death Rattle, summon 2/2 elementals with taunt. A lot of 2s. Now, I've seen some people talk about this. I think it's good. I mean, if I like that this is a Death Rattle card, and there's a Death Rattle Demon Hunter. It's not quite as good as it was, but if that deck makes a resurgence, this card is absolutely going to go in there because 2/2 elementals with taunt. I think it's good. Next up, we have Weight of the World. 3 mana, draw 2 cards. Forge, draw cards until you have as many in hand as your opponent first. Now, gives me Divine Favor vibes, which Divine Favor in the day was quite a good card. And I think I've seen some people talk about this as well. I mean, I think it's a nuts card. If you're playing an aggro deck and you're going to draw as many as your opponent, that's great. You just refill your hand. Plus, you get additional 2, which if your opponent has 10 cards, well, let's say 9, and then you draw 9 and then draw 2, you're gonna mill 1, which is kind of bad, but I mean draw 9 to mill 1, I think that's fair. I mean, that's the best case scenario, but I think aggro Demon Hunter would play this. I mean, you dump your hand, even there's cards that Demon Hunter has that take cards from their hand, and I would say those are very aggressive cards because it usually gives the Demon Hunter attack and put cards back in your deck. So absolutely, granted you have to use 2 mana to forge this, but let's say you do it on turn 2. Hopefully you don't run out of cards by then. But honestly, it could be because there are cards that was at 0 mana that give your Demon Hunter attack, put cards back in your deck, and I know there's some other cards that do that. So this could absolutely be a follow-up for that kind of aggressive Demon Hunter deck. Now we have Eridar Deceptor, 4 mana, 3/5 demon. Whenever you draw a card, summon a 1/1 demon with rush. I think that's pretty fair. I think that for 4 mana, 3/5, pretty traditional stat line. But Demon Hunter can draw a lot of cards. You have a lot of rush, so clear some boards, as well as getting some advantage with card draw. I think it's a solid card for that archetype. Now we have Momentum, 5 mana. Give your hero a +4 attack this turn, cost 1 less for each card you've drawn this turn. Now again, and draw Demon Hunter. That's great, but also I would just think, if you're drawing that much cards, I wouldn't mind playing Dispose of Evidence. I believe it's the one that 0 mana gives you 3 attack, but you got to put 1 card back in your deck. So I would just run that over this, to be honest. But I guess if you maybe you would play both in this draw Demon Hunter, and then that's 7 attack right there. So maybe that's the thing. You just kind of do crazy plays like that, draw a ton. So maybe that's the thing. Maybe you play both. Next up, we have 7 mana, 3/10, Mythical Terror, Lifesteal. At the end of your turn, force all enemy minions to attack this. Demon Beast. And so I do like this card. It's very similar to, the Blackwater Behemoth or whatever, the Priest card that has 8 attack. That forces 1. This forces everything. So it could be a great way to clear up some, maybe some aggro decks. But it does only have 3 attack. So, you might not be getting as much as the Priest card, but I still do like it. And maybe, if you could buff it some way too, that's awesome. Don't know if you'd play this in maybe Big Demon Hunter. I hope they give more support to that deck because I love big cards, if you've been watching some of the other videos. So yeah, that definitely might be a good way to sustain some life, even in control decks and control variant of Demon Hunter 2. Now we have some more Druid cards. 1 mana, Force Seedlings, summon 2 1/1 Saplings, blossoms in 2 turns. Now, what does that blossom in 2 turns mean? They become summon 2 2/2 treants, which is good. You gotta wait 2 turns to do that, but if you're playing in an aggressive or token Druid, I think it's worth it. 1 mana for 2/2. Granted, you have to wait 2 turns for it to happen, but if you're trying to flood the board, that's a way you can flood the board. I don't quite see it. Maybe I would rather play more aggressive minions that do things, but who knows? Maybe token Druid will make a comeback. Next up, we have Lifebinder's Gift, 2 mana, choose 1. Love the choose 1 cards. I really like the flexibility in them. Get 2 random nature spells or reduce the cost of spells in your hand by 1. Now, that latter effect makes me nervous. It is already good at ramping mana, and now that they have ways to reduce mana, they can go for some crazy combos, which there's been a lot of spell reduction in the Titans cards. And the choose 1, get 2 nature spells. They're random, yes, but it's a way to offer some resources. So I do think this will see play in some decks. Now we have the Conservator Nymph, 3 mana, 3/4, Battlecry. Transform a friendly treant into a 5/5 ancient with taunt. So there you go. This card can be as follow-up for the Blossoms. Turn one of those 2/2s into a 5/5 with taunt. Not bad. So maybe Treant Druid is going to be a viable deck. Not sure, but hey, we can hope. Another card that blossoms, Frost Lotus Seedling, 3 mana. Draw 1 card, gain 1 armor, wait 3 turns. It becomes draw 2 cards, gain 8 armor. So card draw and armor, things Druid likes. So maybe a control variant of the deck. And this one I would see get more play because, you want more armor, you want more cards. So why wouldn't you wait? Granted, if you get this in late game, you have to wait wait for that. But if you're in a desperate pinch, you need a card, you have some mana to spare, which Druid typically might, gain some armor, you could just go ahead and play it. Definitely not as good as the blossomed form, but still, I definitely think this would see more play as opposed to the other blossom. We got a Disciple of Aeonar, 4 mana, 4/4, Battlecry. Your next choose 1 card has both effects combined. So, Fandral Staghelm, is that what that card was when your choose 1 cards are combined? Difference between this one is it just has 1. However, it's guaranteed, whereas Staghelm had to be on the field, and you can just do as many as you want. But yeah, if you're trying to get, I think 1 guaranteed is pretty nice. It's only one, but you don't have to play it right then. You can save it for any term you want. So I definitely think this card will see play, especially when they keep giving better choose one cards because yeah. You get some, speaking of some of the ones we have, card reduction, draw two. I'm hoping actually you draw two and then reduce those by one by the new card that was revealed. Just one example. But yeah, I definitely think I like this card because you could play two of them as well because it's not a legendary. And so that's two guaranteed choose ones that you might have. 4 mana, 4/4. Stats aren't the worst. But yeah, I think this is a good card. And speaking of choose ones, we have Ancient of Growth. 7 mana, 5/5. Choose one. Summon 3 2/2 Treants or transform your Treants. Treants into 5/5 Ancients with Taunt. You get both of those, you're gonna get 5/5 Ancients with Taunt. So you would get 3 5/5 Ancients with Taunt. Not bad. You play this or anything before turn 7. Play this on 7. Get 3 5/5 Ancients with Taunts. Solid play. I definitely think that's good. And I do like the choose one. I really hope that in itself becomes a deck. But my guess is you would play a package, a choose one package in whatever deck you might be playing. But I do like it. So I hope we get more support for that. Here we go. The combination. Cultivation, 8 mana. Give your minions 2/2, costs 1 less for each treant you summon this game. So that gives you incentive to make those treants, which is good. And you could flood the board. This, buff them. So I could see this as kind of a mid-rangey or, aggressive because this is going to get discounted for each treant you made. You played the Blossoms. Let's say you play both of those, so that's 4. So now, you're going to have, this is cost 4 mana. So I think this is pretty good. I do like this card, and I hope this Treant deck definitely sees play. Speaking of the choose one, I probably should have looked at all these in total. Like I said, I'm just kind of going through because I know I've been behind. But 8 mana, Freya, Keeper of Nature. Choose one, duplicate your hand or summon copies of other friendly minions. Nuts. I mean, especially if you get both of those. So granted, you have to have stuff on board. But I mean, even if you don't, duplicate your hand's good enough, and you don't have to necessarily play this. If it's your next choose one, you could, choose which choose one you want to play. So you could save this for a time when, maybe you do have a lot of things on board and kind of set it up that way. But man, this is so good. I mean, if I'm think it's 8 mana, so it wouldn't be necessarily like an aggressive deck, but you could, if you need some more resources. I still think this is good, especially to make some combos, duplicate your hand, as well as summon copies of other friendly minions. I'm thinking, isn't there that charge minion that's out there? It's kind of scary. So, I'm sure Druid's going to have some kind of combos out there where they do some crazy charge stuff. So we shall see. Got some new Hunter cards too. Always a bigger Jormonger. Give a minion 2 attack and excess damage dealt by attacks hits the enemy hero. Not bad. There's some other cards that support this strategy, some aggressive Hunter cards, so let's just get into those too. Awakening Tremors, 1 mana, get 3 4/1 worms, they cost 1. So not bad. I mean, get 3. Granted, they're pretty easy to clear, but they are aggressive if you can't get rid of that 4/1, or at least all of them, if you can't hero power 1 away. Or do something to get rid of it. You got 8 damage left, so typical Hunter stuff. But another card that also promotes this very aggressive Hunter is the Observer of Myths. After summon them in with more attack than this, give all friendly minions 1/1 or 1 attack. So now if you had this, and then you start playing those 4/1s, now they've become 5/1s. Well, even this, all friendly minions, so you would increase this attack too. So, man, very aggressive. Hunter, which, doesn't surprise. It's Hunter, They've been trying to give support to this kind of control Hunter, but they're not forgetting about what Hunter's good at, which is going face. So, yeah. I will also mention that those 4/1s are beasts. Absorbent Parasite, a new card, 2 mana, 3/1. Magnetic Rush can magnetize to mechs and beasts. So I like the versatility. I like that the beasts get some magnetizing love, which is kind of interesting for Hunter at least. It's just some stats, and it gives it rush. So I don't really know if you necessarily want, if this is going to be that prevalent. If you really need a rush minion, Hunter usually has rush minions. So I don't really see where this gets played at the moment, but who knows? Maybe we'll see. I mean, I guess if you're playing a mech version too, but again, even some mechs have rush. So I don't know. We'll see if this card comes up or not. Speaking of rush, the Fable stable hand, we have, it's 3 mana, 3/3, rush, battlecry. If you control a minion with 4 or more attack, gain 2/2, which we know you will have. So this becomes 3 mana, 5/5 with rush. Again, not bad, but if you're going to do this very aggressive hunter strategy, then yeah, you probably want to play that. You don't have to clear with your 4/1s or anything. You can use this to clear, but because it has some good stats. So, yep. Coming to get a Hunter, face Hunter, back. I don't know if I'm really excited about that, but we'll see. Hunter got some Secret Hunter, which I do like Secret Hunter. It's not the greatest, but it keeps getting support. But new Secret, 2 mana, bait and switch. Secret, when a friendly minion is attacked, give it 3/3. You might even play that in that the face Hunter, because gives your minion some stats, so maybe take a trade, and now it's more powerful to deal face damage next turn. So not a bad secret, I don't think. And plus, you could also play it even if you don't have anything, so you can guarantee a minion you want to get bigger. You can guarantee it with this. So not a bad secret, I don't think. And more secret support, Titan Forge traps, 2 mana, discover and cast a secret. Forge, do it twice. Now I do like this. Let's say, if you do this on turn 2, you could just play it right away, discover a secret, 2 mana. You're not really losing anything. Hunter secrets cost 2 mana. Now, if you draw this with some extra mana, you use 2. Now you have 2 secrets. But now that I think about it, you're getting 2 secrets on the field, but you're not like getting like a discount in mana reduction or anything like that. But I would say if you're playing Secret Hunter, you're going to want to put secrets out there, so you would play this card with that. I think it's just a pretty okay card for Secret Hunter. And we got a weapon for Secret Hunter too. We have the Star-Strung Bow, 6 mana, 6 attack, 2 durability, costs 1 less for each friendly secret that has been triggered this game, which you're definitely going to do that. I think it's solid. I think it's a kind of a beefy attack, so I wouldn't want to take that. You're going to probably, if let's say you play 2 of these, which you probably would, so that's 24 damage if math is correct. Math's not my strong suit, but yeah, that's pretty solid. So I think if you're playing Secret Hunter, you definitely play this weapon that goes along with it. Mage got more support for the Rainbow Mage or whatever you want to call that, but it's 1 mana card, Discovery of Magic, discover a spell from a spell school you haven't cast this game from any class, which makes sense. So not bad. It's a way to promote this strategy, way to get a spell from a class that you don't have. Now, the thing is, like, how many of those spells have synergy with their deck? But if it's anything that deals damage, that's fine. But either way, like, I have faith in this strategy. I know some people are saying, oh, well, you could just get something that's trash. But out of 3 choices, hopefully you get something that is going to be beneficial to you in some sort of way. So I do like the card. And there's support for playing things from other classes. So let's continue on. And here's a great one, Molten Rune. 3 mana, deal 3 damage, get a random spell. Forge, this cast twice. Now, I think this one is, you're going to definitely want to forge, because this casts twice. I think you're at, for that 2 mana, you're getting double a 3 mana card, which, technically is at 6. I absolutely think this is one you would want to forge, get that double effect. Deal 6 damage, so a fireball, get 2 random spells. I think that's pretty darn good. I definitely think you would want to discount this because you're getting a 6 mana card for 5 mana, so not bad. Plus, I just think the effect's really good in itself, so great card. And Wisdom of Norganon, 5 mana, draw 2 cards, cost 1 less for each different spell school you've cast this game. So realistically, let's say you don't even grab other stuff from other classes. You play the 3 within Mage, so your Ice, Fire, and Arcane. This costs 2 mana to draw 2 cards. Not bad. You got Arcane Intellect, which is 3 mana for 2, which chances are with this deck, you're for sure gonna play at least 2 other spell classes. So this is draw 2 cards for free. That's pretty good. I mean, I think that's definitely a card worth playing. So, yeah, for this Rainbow Mage archetype, great card. Now we got Sif, 6 mana, 4/6, spell damage +1, improved by each spell school you've cast this game. So let's just say, let's go with 5. And now you have a 6 mana, 4/6 with spell damage +6. You know, Mage does have a way to get very cheap spells, you know, those arcane spells that do 2. And granted, when it's, 7 or 8 mana, it does 3. Geez, multiply that by 6. So what is that? So 9. And let's say you play this on turn 9. So you have 3 of those in your hand, which is definitely doable. All right, 9, 18. What is that? 27? Is that? Oh my gosh. So this card is definitely, let's say you play this on 10 and you can do that. So yeah, this card is definitely going to end games. Sif, fantastic card. Definitely brings the deck together, I can see. So yeah, you just need some of those small arcane missiles or whatever they are, and you're going to go for a game. Elemental Mage got some support too, though. Aqua Archivist is probably, yeah, I can say things. 2 mana, 2/2, Battlecry. The next elemental you play costs 2 less. Solid, you know, elemental. That reduces elemental. Good card. Then the Unchained Gladiator, 4/4 elemental. Draw a card, repeat for each elemental you played last turn. So we've seen that tagline in other cards, and it hasn't been that good, but the deck, granted, elemental strategies in general haven't been the greatest. But whenever it does, this would be a card that you would play. But I don't see something like a elemental strategy that would be better than the rainbow strategy. There's also a mech that was revealed for Mage, Chill-O-Matic, 2 mana, 2/3 mech, magnetic, freeze any character damaged by this minion. So you would equip it to a mech, obviously, but it's not even bad to just play on itself. 2 mana, 2/3, which isn't that the same stat line as the old school Mage card that would freeze stuff, which back in the day that absolutely saw play. So I think it's probably a reference to that, but you can magnetic, so you can put it on anything, which could be pretty good in some cases, depending on what the mech is. If it has any cleave sort of strategy or anything that could just ping multiple things. The Mage Legendary. So, oh man, if you magnetize to that, and then it does 1 mana to everything, freeze everything. Oh man, okay. So Mech Mage, making some comebacks. Now for Paladin, a X21 Repair Bot. 1 mana, 1/3, Death Rattle, return any mechs magnetized to this to your hand. It's 1 mana, 1/3. We know that stat line sticks around for a little bit. And great Death Rattle. If you're gonna play Mech Paladin, this is definitely a card you're gonna play in that, and it gives you those magnetized mechs right back. So you're really not losing too much if they do clear it, which inevitably they will. So you'd have to. This would force a silence or something like that. So great card. Inventor's Aura, 2 mana, your mechs costs 1 less, last 2 turns. Man, nuts. I mean, for, mech Paladin, which mech Paladin in the past was pretty good. It's not the best right now, but it's still a playable deck. And this is great. It lasts 2 turns, so you could do something now. You could play this on turn 2 and have a big turn next turn, especially if you have that turn 1 with the Repair Bot. So, yeah, great card. We have Astral Serpent. It's a dragon, 4 mana, 3/2. At the end of your turn, if this didn't attack, draw 2 cards. So some support for Dragon Paladin. I definitely think Mech Paladin's going to be the better deck, but I do like dragons. I like dragons as well. And it's an interesting strategy. 4 mana, not great stat lines, and at the end of your turn, if it didn't attack, draw 2 cards. So essentially, it's a 3 mana, 4 mana, 3/3, draw 2. Not bad. Because and it's going to force a clear, because if they don't, then you're going to draw 2 more cards. If this gets buffed too, I definitely think it would be even better, but you're going to draw 2 cards for this, so yeah, you would probably play this in dragon decks, but I don't know. I'm wondering if Paladin has better ways to draw, but again, you would only see this in, I don't want to be too crazy, maybe like a Menagerie Paladin. It's draw 2. But it can't attack, but really it's going to force an attack. So, I don't know. I sort of like it, but I wonder if there's better options for Paladin in terms of drawing. And 4 mana is a very competitive spot for Paladin, too. So, this could be tough to squeeze in there. And speaking of which, a 4-mana Judge Unworthy. Set a minions a health to 1, then deal 1 damage to all enemies. Now this is good. It's going to clear something for sure, and then deal 1 damage to everything else. I mean, it's not bad, but it's really more single removal. I think sometimes, quality, consecration, that's 6 mana. Granted, this is 4, and you're clearing something. So I don't know. I mean, and you're kind of softening some other things up. I don't know. I think it's okay. I mean, it's a way to get rid of 1 card. So I don't know. I guess it really depends depends on the deck. If you want to just kind of deal with one problematic thing, deal some damage to everything. So maybe like kind of an aggressive form of paladin, I would see this. Whereas, a control paladin would probably save for like the equality consecration or a bigger board cleared. But, I don't know. I would say keep an eye out on this one. It might show up in some decks. Now there's some support that Paladin is getting. Don't know how I feel about it, but 4 mana 3/2 Stoneheart King. Death Rattle, summon a 2/2 Earthen that gains 2/2 for each other Earthen you've summoned this game. Now let me go through some of the other Earthen cards, and then you can kind of determine for yourself if it's good or not. One of them is the Disciple of Amethyst, 6 mana 4/6. At the end of your turn, summon a 2/2 Earthen that gains 2/2 for each other Earthen you've summoned this game. So I know people were calling this like kind of pogo strategy, with Rogue, that, you keep playing them, they get bigger and bigger. And I'm assuming they're going to get more support, but there are cards that facilitate this strategy. Obviously, this one, the Legendary, you just saw. But also, Tears, resurrect 3 different Paladin minions, set their stats to 2/2, forge, resummon, or resurrect another. Now, if you can hit certain minions like the Stoneheart King or the Disciple of Amethyst, that's great. But I think you're going to need some more minions that do that, make more Earthens or things like that. And, I'm assuming, I guess if you would just play the Earthens and everything else is spells, then yeah, not bad, because you would kind of guarantee those hits, especially if you combine that with Tear, the Legendary. Then yeah, I could see, and this is 4 attacks, so you could resurrect this off a Tear. So maybe this Earthen strategy can see play. It might be a good deck, especially if it gets more support. I'm looking more forward to Mech Paladin, but who knows? This could be a fun deck to try as well. Down to the Priest. We're getting there. Thanks for hanging in there if you're still watching. Astral Automaton. 1 mana 1/1 has 1/1 for each other Astral Automaton you've summoned this game. So kind of similar. Got another like pogo strategy. And there are some other cards, so let's get into some of those. Such as Creation of Protocol. 2 mana, discover a copy of a minion in your deck. Could be the Automaton, could be something else. Get another copy. 4, you have to play 2 mana to get that. But you can get more automatons. But also you can just get other things in your deck. I mean, I don't think this is limited to this automaton buffing strategy. I think this is just a solid card because we've seen this for spells. Why wouldn't you use this for minions? So I think it's a great card that would be played in a bunch of different decks. We also have the Student of the Stars, 3 mana 4/3. Shuffle a copy of this into your deck with a permanent 3/3. So another sort of buffing strategy. But let me just get to the Legendary and make sense where all this support is coming from. We got Raiden, not Raiden, Raiden. 6 mana 5/5. Death Rattle, summon each other minion you've played this game that didn't start in your deck. So if you've been buffing the automatons or any, even just getting a bunch of minions from other decks, whether it's a thief strategy or what have you, you just get a big board. So not bad. I think the versatility, again, it could play with this automaton kind of pogo strategy or just thief strategy. Sort of like a Tess Greymane almost. I feel like Priest and Rogue are just competing who can be the better thief. Which is strange that Priest is pretty good at it. So, yeah, Rodden, a great card, definitely going to see play, and I think different versions of Priest as well. Here's another way to get a bunch of different, even if it's not necessarily a thief strategy, but the Stars Align. 3 mana, transform minions in your hand into ones that cost 3 more that keep their original cost. So that's not bad. You're getting some potentially very good things for discounted, but you could also get some potentially bad things. So I don't know. Again, if you're maybe playing, I could see this in. Well, it's tough because, what if you have Rawden or other cards you don't want to transform? That's the downside of this card. So this might be tough. This could be an option maybe after you've exhausted some of your other Rawdens or other strategies, your automatons, what have you. But this card is not without downside. So I'm not sure if this would see play or not. I don't think so. I have a False Disciple, though, 2 mana, 2/2. Battlecry, discover a legendary priest minion from the past. Now, there are a lot of good ones from the past, and the same with the others, a lot of bad ones. So I'm not sure. The Titan can discover legendary minions. This is a legendary priest minion. I mean, I'm not sure. There are a couple of cards running around now that's just discover a legendary. This one's priest specifically. So not sure. If you're playing maybe a control deck, I'm wondering if there's better cards you would play. But if you're playing, I don't know. So not sure if this would make the cut. And this could be another control strategy card. But Grace of the Highfather, 3 mana, restore 8 health, pretty good. Discover card that costs this amount overhealed. If you're playing overheal priest, then yeah, it's good. But because then you can potentially summon, maybe an 8 mana card if it's already at full health, which that overheal priest strategy has ways to, obviously spam out a lot of healing. But if you're hurt and you need all this health, well, you got it, but you're just not going to get a minion or discover a card that costs what's overhealed. And you're just discovering it. It's not like you're playing it on the board. So not quite sure. Again, this would be played in the overhealed strategy for sure, but I don't think you would play it in anything else because Priest just has other ways to restore health. And this is another card. I feel like I've been not super excited about Priest, but Serenity. 4 mana, give all minions -2 attack, destroy any with 0 attack. I just don't think this is better than any other kind of board clearing thing that Priest has. They got a discounted Holy Nova, which is, deal 2, restore 2. And I almost think I like that better. Like, yes, I think this -2 attack's permanent, and you're going to clean up some things that have, 0 attack after that. But honestly, looking at some of the cards, like Paladin, that thing's going to get buffed, the repair bot. Even Hunter, they're spamming out 4 ones now, so this isn't going to do anything. But whereas Holy Nova would clear that. So I just don't think this makes the cut for Priest. Now we're going to shift gears to Rogue with Gear Shift. It was a terrible pun or whatever. I'm sorry, but transition. But anyway, Gear Shift, 1 mana, shuffle 2 leftmost cards in your hand into your deck, draw 3. So it has Secret Passage vibes, but I don't think it's quite as good as Secret Passage because shuffle the 2 leftmost cards in your hand into your deck, draw 3. Yeah, drawing 3 is good, but what if you want those 2 in your left into your hand? So I don't know. I don't think. Draw 3 for 1 mana. Draw 3. That's pretty good though. And I do believe if you have an empty hand, you just draw 3. Which, if you're playing like a very aggressive rogue strategy, cool. But it seems like a lot of rogue strategies now that have a lot of cards in their hand. So not sure, but what if this mech rogue strategy becomes a thing and you need to draw some cards? I don't know. I don't quite think this is that great though. I think rogue has better things, but we'll see. Next up, we got Tar Slick, 1 mana. Minions take double damage this turn, deal 1 damage. So it'd be essentially 2, but yeah, it's just minions. I was thinking, oh man, if this was characters, this would be nuts. But yeah, just minions. I think rogue. Yeah, it's going to help board clear, but I think Rogue a lot of times just wants to kind of combo off, go face, or at least deal some damage. But I think they have other ways to deal with minions, so I just don't know if this is that good. If it was characters, absolutely insane. Minions, I think it's just a pretty fair card. So, yeah, I think that's it. I think it's a pretty okay card, and I think it's not quite as good to be played. From the scrap heap, though, I think is very good. 2 mana, get 3 1/1 magnetic spark bots with random effects. And, some of those can be Divine Shield, Magnetic, Rush, Taunt, Wind Fury, all the usual stuff. But it's random, but you get 3 of them. And, what if you get a stealth one and you combine it with the Titan? I don't know. I'm pumped for Mech Rogue, to be honest. It doesn't even have to be stealth. Like, Divine Shield, Poisonous, Lifesteal. I think they're all good. Divine Shield, even. And this is 3, maybe if you want to do some combo-y effects. I mean, they're 1/1 magnetic, so I think it's a great card you're going to play in Mech Rogue. Now we got some support for, I don't know if you want to call it Thief or Burgle Rogue or whatever you want to call it, but the Kadramite creation, 2 mana, 3/2, Battlecry, discover a spell from another class that costs 3 or less. So pretty solid. I think if you're going to do this strategy, kind of discover Thief or whatnot, you want to have it. I think, there you go. From another class, it kind of facilitates that strategy. I'm also starting to, in my mind right now, I'm thinking, should we rename Thief Rogue? Because, Rogue does steal stuff from another class. But Thief Priest, with the Legendary, that legit takes that from you. I don't know. I mean, we might need to redefine some deck archetypes here. But anyway, yeah, I think if you're playing that strategy, this would be a good card to play in there. Back to the mech strategy. Pit Stop, 2 mana, discover a mech from your deck, give it 2/1. So get a mech, buff it. It's pretty solid. It's a draw strategy, especially if you're playing mechs. So I don't think it's bad. I think if you're playing Mech Rogue, you would play it. Then we got this Squirrel Coppertail Snoop. 3 mana, 4/3, magnetic. Whenever this attacks, get a coin. I think it's great. I'm excited for the Mech Rogue package because, Rogue likes coins, do some combo shenanigans, and this is magnetic, so you're almost guaranteed to get a coin. So I do like this card. We also have Murmuron, the Mastermind, 3 mana, 2/5. After you play a mech, get a random one of Murmurons, if I'm probably butchering that. But the gadgets, and some of those gadgets are the next card you play this turn costs 2 less. Dope. Give a friendly minion 3 attack. It gains stealth until your next turn. Choose 2 minions. They swap stats. Give a minion Taunt, Divine Shield. Return a minion to its owner hand. Deal 3 damage. All of those are good. I think all of those Rogue can use in one way or another. Mech Rogue. Be on the lookout for it because this is a great card. Another mech, Lab Constructor, 4 mana, 3/2. At the end of your turn, summon a copy of this. Forge, gain magnetic. So, thinking, you can. Oh, no way. No way. Oh my. So, okay, just thinking. You forge this. It gains magnetic. You put it on something. And if I'm correct, you're going to get a copy of it. Right? So, if you put this on a Titan, you get a copy of this. Is it going to summon a copy of this? So now you have 2. And then if you have, if you have enough mana, you discount these, which we know Mech can do. You discount it, put some Divine Shield, some Stealth, whatever else have you on it. Now you have 2 giant Titans. Oh, man, maybe I'm a little biased, but I'm really digging the Mech Rogue strategies. Shaman's up next. Lightning Reflexes, 1 mana. Discover a nature spell. If you play it this turn, discover another. So, similar to, Instructor Fireheart, except for nature. So, it's similar, but different. So, I think it's a solid card, though. Discover a nature spell. If you play it, discover another. And it's only 1 mana, so not bad. I think it's a good card, and you would play it in, certain decks I would play, whether it be like Control Shaman or what have you. But I think, this is a good card. Solid card. Next up is Disciple of Golganeth. 2 mana, 2/3. At the end of your turn, reduce the card of a random overload card in your hand by 1. Like this. And there's also, Shaman's been getting some overload support. If you all been watching some of my other videos, I've been on Shaman. Like Big Shaman, Jive Shaman. But let's get into the Legendary, which is Thorman, Stormlord. 3 mana, 3/4. Battlecry, unlock your overloaded mana crystals, draw that many cards. So on the surface, it seems, just pretty okay. But I mean, for Overload, it's doing both things you want. So you're getting the draws, but you're also unlocking your mana crystals. I think it's just solid. You're gonna play this. It's definitely good support for Overload Shaman, and really like recently when I've been playing. Granted, I've been playing kind of a big Shaman, and yes, I'm playing half of my decks on Overlord package, but I've been playing the card that unlocks your mana crystals, and a lot of time I'm just doing 1 or 2 mana. That's all I'm getting. So because they've kind of reduced the overload, it's not like 2 or 3, and that some cards are rarely that. But now it's just like 1s and 2s, which is good. They're powerful cards, but that unlocking isn't as dramatic. But this unlocks it, and you're getting some draws. So I just think it's a solid card that you would definitely play if you're playing an overload strategy in Shaman. And another overload card, Turn the Tides, 3 mana, give your hero +3 attack this turn, summon a 3/3 elemental with Rush. So some attack, some elementals with Rush, some board clear, so dealing some damage. This could be an aggro strategy, or, even be used if you need to kind of control the game a little bit more. But, yeah, solid card. And compounded, think of that last card too, in conjunction with this Tempest Hammer, 4 mana, 1/3. After your hero attacks, deal 3 damage to the lowest health enemy. Not bad. If it's, there's nothing, it's just going to go face. Plus, combined with that, you give your hero power, or give you some more attack. I just think, even without that card, in general, I think Tempest Hammer's a not bad card. You're going to deal, it's 3 durability, you're going to deal 3 damage to lowest health enemy. That could go face, that could be useful and just cleaning up some minions on the field. So I think it's a good card that, again, it's probably more of a control strategy, but honestly, maybe not, even of aggressive aggro. But what do we got right now? Totem Shaman. Would Totem Shaman play this? No, they would probably put the weapon that gives them totems. So, but yeah, I mean, I think if you're trying to be a control shaman, this wouldn't be bad. Some more nature strategy, I guess. But Champion of Storms, 4 mana, 3/5 elemental. After you cast a nature spell, summon a 4/2 elemental. Forge with Rush. It's just pretty okay. I don't really see an elemental strategy coming through. It just happens to be an elemental because Shaman does have a lot of elementals. I don't like the fact that you have to forge to give it Rush, but if you're playing a lot of nature spells with this elemental, this could be multiple times. So, maybe you do this on turn like 2 or something. You have a bunch of cheap nature spells. You can kind of spam a bunch of elementals, but I don't know. I don't know if you would do that again, or because if this sticks around for a turn, I just don't know if you have. I guess if it does stick around, you have 5 mana of nature spells. Let's say maybe you have 2 of them. Is that worth it? If you forge it and they both rush, yeah, that's pretty good. But I think it might be a little bit too situational. And again, they could always just clear this. So if they do clear, like if you forge this, you spend the 2 mana and then they clear this, then you get nothing out of it. I think that's pretty bad. So I'm not sure if this will see play. Although I don't know if I just saw the flash of lightning. Draw a card, next turn your nature spells cost 1 less. That's a little bit more appealing to that other card. But it is a nature spell too. So, but again, you'd have to have. I'm trying to think of nature spells. Figured we'd just go ahead and look at the nature spell. Zap, 0 mana, not nature. So okay, not bad. And then Lightning Bolt, that was what I was thinking. I couldn't remember if it was nature spell or not, but deal 3 damage. That could be reduced by 1, so there you go. Yeah, Lightning Storm is also a nature spell, but so if this would be 2, but you're already summoning a bunch of elementals if you're playing that strategy. I don't know. So really, Zap and Lightning Storm, and then some of the new nature spells that were just we just talked about, those are your options. But so I don't know if it's still that great, to be honest. I probably should have just gone through all these before I started making my judgments on these. But Crash of Thunder, 5 mana, deal 3 damage to all enemies. Good, that's all enemies. Costs 1 less for each nature spell you've cast on this turn, though. And again, man, let's see. Okay, You play Lightning Reflexes. That's 1. You'll say you got 5 mana. Then you find a Zap, a Lightning Bolt. Okay, so that's 3. And that's a lot of damage too. But okay, maybe you find 2 other real cheap ones, but maybe you don't. And so, I mean, if you can keep finding like 5 zaps, that's pretty good. Or, 5 lightning bolts, especially if you've reduced them with the other card. But, man, I don't know. Like, I just wonder if that outcome is realistic, or if you're going to get higher nature spells and you can't really feel that. But, again, this is discounted. So if you, let's say you do get like a lightning storm, and then, you've already played the 1 mana. So honestly, okay, so now this is just a further board clear. Okay, all right, maybe we're getting there. I feel like it's very situational, but we'll see, We got Thorignir Drake, 7 mana, 6/6 dragon. Rush whenever this attacks, summon 2/3/1 whelps to attack the target first. Pretty okay again. Like, what is it? Neptulon, where it summons the fists and attacks. Those are immune though, and that card's nuts. But this is just kind of knockoff version of one of those. And then if let's say it has more than 6 health, now this attacks. I don't know. I mean, I just don't think this is that great. And like it's got a dragon tag. If there was like dragon synergy, I'd be like, yeah, okay. But usually elementals is the way to go for shaman. So I don't know. Don't think this would see play. As of the moment of recording this. Getting into Warlock. Warlock has Loken, Jailer of Yogg-Saron. I do kind of like, Yogg. And I guess that's a similar strategy. But anyway, 6 mana, 3/3. Battlecry, discover a minion from your deck. Summon a tentacle with its stats and taunts. Now, the Forge of Wills we got a while before. Let's say you have that on field, you play this, summon something big, let's say the big thing that I'm sure you've already thought of, the Lord of the Opera. So now you have a 15/15 with taunt, and now you make another one. That's the high roll, that's the good. But how often do you get that? If you're only playing 3 minions in your deck, then yeah, you'll get that. But what if you draw that? So you have to build your deck around those big minions, which I think is fine. I'm going to try and do it because, again, I like big minions, big cards. So, I mean, who knows? Maybe that's the thing. Or can decks deal with that? Can decks just clear those 2 15/15s ideally? I don't know. So I don't think you would just, have this would be the culmination of your deck. I think you'd have to have another win condition. But I mean, it still might be a fun strategy worth trying. And some of those, like Lord of the Opera, I think you might play in a similar deck that you would play this in. So it could go together. But we'll see. I just don't know. Big minions are cool. Big minions and taunt help too. And maybe let's say you're playing some giants or other things in here. Are 2 8/8s with taunt good? I mean, yeah. I mean, this is on turn 6 too, so that could potentially be devastating, but I don't know. We'll see with this card. Jailer of Yogg-Saron. It's gotten some solid cards, I would say. 1 mana, Chaotic Consumption. Destroy a friendly minion to destroy an enemy minion. Fair card, especially if you have a Death Rattle. You want to get rid of that card anyway, and you can choose the other enemy minion. Cheap removal too. Think it's solid. Next up we have Monstrous Form. 1 mana, give a friendly minion 3/3 until your next turn. So similar to Power Overwhelming, but different. Namely that it doesn't die horribly. So honestly, sometimes you want it to die, especially with Death Rattle options. This gives it some stats. You could Ghost Face if you really wanted to, but really I think you'd want to trade it. But I think the Power Overwhelming was better because not only was it more stats, so a lot of people kind of abused it to go face, kind of copy with Leroy and stuff. I definitely wasn't one of those people. But this, it's a buff, but it doesn't die. Is that buff going to be necessary? I guess you could, with Forge of Wills, buff something 3/3 and now copy it, and it keeps those stats permanently. But is that good enough? I don't think it's good enough in today's Hearthstone. We got Thornveil Tentacle, 2 mana, 2/2, lifesteal, deal 2 damage to Battlecry, deal 2 damage to an enemy minion. I think that's just a fair card. And fair cards don't get played mana. It's good. I mean, you're going to get 2 damage, and it has lifesteal. I just don't think that's enough. I think you need a little bit more to be played in today's meta. Mortal Eradication, 3 mana, deal 5 damage randomly, split among all enemy minions. We've had similar cards to that, namely that one that was repeatable. This one, restore 2 health to your hero for each killed. So if you're playing, let's say Hunter, and they got those 4 1/1s, this is good. But if you're playing against some strategies that have a lot of stats on the board, this might not kill anything, and it's all enemy minions. So not sure. If you're playing a control warlock, maybe this might make the cut, but I'm wondering if you have better removal options. Now we have the Disciple of Sargas, 4 mana, 3/3, battlecry, discard a spell to summon 2 3/2 imps. Forge, give them +2 health and taunt. So not bad. Some imp strategy maybe. I do like that they're giving these imps taunt, which is good. I mean, granted, if you're playing like a very aggressive warlock strategy, a lot of times you don't need taunt. You're just going to go face. But so I do like that because, if you want to forge it, you want to play more control oriented, great. If you just are trying to go face, you got your 3/2 imps. So I think, imp strategy, but also the versatility for some control variant decks of warlock. Now we have Wing Welding, 4 mana, discard your highest cost card, deal damage equal to its cost to all enemy minions. I feel like this is good. I mean, if Discard Warlock was a good deck, this would be a great way to, you discard your highest cost card, you can just construct your deck so you want that discarded, and then that's removal. But I don't think Discard Warlock is going to be. Plus, I can't think of a card in mind right now that you'd want to necessarily hit off this. I know there's cards that you would, but I don't think you're getting a big enough payoff because you wouldn't play this in like Control Warlock because you don't necessarily want to discard your highest amount of card. Unless, again, it's like you're in a pinch and you have to. But if this would be played in Discard Warlock, I don't think you'd play it in anything else. Now we have the Imprisoned Horror, 9 mana, 5/5, costs 1 less for each damage you've taken on your turns this game, which Warlock, you all know, does quite a bit. So cheap 5/5 that you can get. I think it's all right. If you would play that in Warlock, it makes sense to play in Warlock. Would you play in every deck? Not sure, but I think maybe, especially like aggressive decks, if you kind of draw into this, play a 5/5 for free. I wouldn't say it's free because it's 1 less. So I don't know. I don't know. Honestly, I don't think it's just a 5/5. Like if it was a better, like higher stats, I think it would get play more. But the fact that it's just a 5/5 and it's 9 mana, I'm not sure, to be honest, if this is gonna get played.
I love the chase and the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running.